There are people who are image-wise, they're very worried about what they look like, how they present, models included, and some jobs, if you're over and exceed certain weight, you get discharged. It's amazing, but although it's not really something that will advertise. But so as a result, what people do seek out is gastric balloon. Now that is something you have to swallow and place inside the stomach, and the person who does it will have to. This pouch will stay inside you for 4 to 6 months, inside your stomach, and they will pump liquid in that balloon from 400 to 700 cc's of liquid. So this bag of water is inside you. You carry around for 4 to 6 months. So if your stomach is this size and your pouch is half of it, you're not going to eat very much. You're going to feel full, right? So that's distension. It's like somebody who's trying to eat a buffet and they stuff yourself until you can't eat anymore. That's a mechanical stretch, and you feel so full you can't eat anymore, physically. So that is the trick of it, gastric balloon. But of course you have to remove it. You can't stay in forever. Gastrectomy will be cutting out part of the stomach, and we're talking about 1/3, 1/2, or even 2/3 of the stomach. Now that's permanent, of course. Once you do that, you are going to have possible side effects, like when the stomach is reduced in size, this property is actually producing acid. Hydrochloric acid is a pH of 1, the most acid thing you can produce. That's why people, if you burp or food comes out, you can taste the acid. And inside the stomach is so acid. If you take out part of that acid is actually later on is needed for absorption of vitamins inside your intestine. So the long-term side effect of this is actually vitamin deficiency. Okay, so gastric removal. Being permanent, once it's done, it's done. Unfortunately, there's no return on this. So I find people do end up eating more frequently because they're not full. They need to eat more and just constantly nibble. So as a result, the weight comes back. Okay. Now that's my own personal experience. Other surgeons may tell you differently. Okay. So gastrectomy tube. Now this is something that's pretty awful because you have to put the tube down after you eat into your stomach, and you pump it out again afterwards. And 30% of the food is removed. You can imagine the horror. You go on a date and then you have to excuse me, go to the bathroom. I think most people just do it at home. But that is the tube. It's not recommended. And I don't really recommend most of these things. Okay. The least invasive is the fiber at the very last. These are polymers. These are synthetic stuff that you swallow as a capsule. Now, you can swallow as many as you want to make your stomach distend so you're satisfied. So you don't feel like eating. And at the same time, it slows down the absorption of your food because it's getting in the way for the lumen of the intestine to absorb food products. So you lose weight as a result. So you swallow these foams. Of course, you also pass them. Okay? Now, how am I doing? Okay, good. So this is a time, when if you want to ask, clarify anything, feel free to do so. One of my special hobby is to do preventive healthcare. And I always feel that an ounce of prevention is worth an ounce of gold. And my website is Doctoring You. That's where I have right now I have 53 videos up there. So you're all welcome. It's for free. Thank you very much for your attention.
So Dr. Seo,
yeah.
I thought your comments were directed at me as far as less calories when you get older. When I was a freshman and sophomore in college, I looked like Daniel. Maybe even you, Jeffrey. And when I went to work for Callan, well, I remember at the fraternity house downing the 2 deep-fried pork sandwiches, and one day I just went, poof. And I kept doing that until I went to work for Callan, and then I went even more. So I think I got up to 230, and I'm back down to, I'm at 180 and have been for a long time. Most of you know me at 180, but it really was a change of life, and you had to say, okay, no more burgers for lunch, split a sandwich at the turn, take a walk every noon, every night, and you know, it slips up on you, even you slim guys. You know, you gotta watch it. Everybody in here, you know, I don't know what you're doing in this.
I think that points out the importance of, you know, shifting in your lifestyle, and what you can do is all drive, you know. So I don't call it a disease, I call it a drive. And I think we all can impact our personal health dramatically, all right? So a lot of times it's a question of choice. And I tell people that the minute you got a good paycheck, you have money to spare, of course everybody wants to treat yourself well. You know, you have a good meal, why not, you know? I think a lot of times it's just a matter of calculating where do you want to limit and where do you want to splurge. It's like clothing. My kids will tell you, oh, Dad, you know, I want to buy this and that. Of course, you can buy it on your own, but Dad has 3 of you to take care of. So I think it's proportion. Everything is, you know, willpower and how you want to juggle. You can have a cook here too, no problem. You know, it's just that when you have come to your sit-down meal, you're going to have to sacrifice something else. So I think everything is a little bit at a time, and that piles up to be a big stack. Yeah.
Question. So with the teaspoon of salt per day, I find on days when I work out in the morning and I sweat a lot and I drink a lot of water, I tend to like crave a lot of salt throughout the day.
Yeah.
Is that just for someone at rest, or is that just, you know?
That's for ordinary people who don't sweat like you do. That sweating is great, all right? Of course, you have to replenish, you know, fluid level on a daily basis. I tell people, how do you know how much you need as far as hydration? And it's all on my website. Is how many times you have to go to the John, you know? I would say if on average you go to urinate 4 or 5 times a day, plenty. That's assuming you don't just go a little bit, okay? Good flow, and because that tells you hydration is that, you know, of course you don't want to drink too much. I think we all heard on the radio, there was a competition on somebody who downed so much liquid on the radio in Sacramento, and the girl died or something afterwards because she overdrank. When you drink too much in a short time, your sodium will drop from dilution, and it stops your heartbeat. And so never go extreme. You know, I think there are people who actually, like you, I know people who are runners, and they go on these, you know, very high-end running literally in the desert. And they run 100 miles in the desert, 110, you know, whatever. And they have to have salt intake constantly while they are running. And so you have to know your body, and those are extreme cases, you know. So taking in salt, I think, is important. And it's not a bad idea if you are going into a regimen of exercise, is to do a basic chemistry test on your body, see how you are before you embark, especially changes. Anything rapid changes at extreme, check yourself out and have interval change just to make sure there's no alteration. I think is a good way of maintaining your own health.
So do you mind making a comment about intermittent fasting and your opinions on that, if you are disciplined during like the 8-hour window that you do eat?
Yeah. Now, a lot of times, I for one, when I ask people to fast and before they have their blood test done, it's partially because of sugar. I want to check your sugar when you're not eating, and your lipids, which is your, you know, cholesterol, the good bad cholesterol, your triglyceride, and at the same time is that if there are certain medication is not a food, so you can take that. So water is not a medication, so you can take that too. Is to make sure there's no artificial elevation when you fast. So if you eat something, you know, somebody came in and said, well, I had a cup of tea, which is probably fine, but I had a cup of coffee. Now, that's different. You have a latte, it's even worse. You know, so what happens is that the caffeine can indirectly cause adrenaline in your body because it is pre-excitation. And that can jack up your cholesterol as well as your sugar. So fasting in that regard is good. Now, of course, there are people who go on this fasting diet, you know. Of course, Ramadan, people who actually don't eat for 12 hours until sunset and then they eat. But that's a different story. But you don't actually lose weight too much by fasting too long, because you end up eating it back. But of course, it all depends on discipline. There are people going to be telling you it differently.
You have a view, for me, it's 2,100 calories on how to spread them across the day?
Yeah.
Even free meals
Right,
or
right.
snacking?
Now, the schedule is very important, I think. My emphasis, because I was brought up in an English boarding school, so we always emphasize on breakfast. Right? So breakfast is very important because you have the whole day to burn it. Now, people who are not, you know, majority of kids don't like to eat breakfast. You know, that's a kid. I didn't like it either, but then you're forced to eat it. So as a result, I would say you eat a distribution. If you are a person who ham and egg, you know, I think good protein in the morning is good. It takes you over the rest of the day. You burn it because it takes longer to burn. Versus a cereal, a bowl of cereal will be sugar. You know, Frosted Flakes and all those, with a very sugar, it's going to spike, you know, the minute you drink it. And so I would say have your protein, or banana or whatever you take in the morning, and then spread it to a lunch. And also depends on how, because I realize a lot of you ride bicycles here. And I think if you're going to be battling uphill on a bike at the end of the day, then I would say have your lunch a little bit more calories at lunchtime. And then have dinner, you know, but don't eat it too late. Late dinner is going to accumulate. You don't burn it. You end up storing it. It becomes fat. You get stored in the liver. So you actually pick up more weight. I have people who eat just, you know, once a day, and she's 5 foot and over 300 pounds, and she swears that she only eats like a bird, but once a day. And she forgot to tell me she also eats ice cream. So spreading it out according to your activity. I think not to push all the good stuff to the end. So yeah, feel free to visit DrU.com, and you know, I'll be happy to entertain any questions. I think you can jot something down if you want to. Okay, thank you for coming.